They say in Ayetoro village, the river does not just carry water, it carries secret. In those days, there was a young woman named Adunola, sweet as her name, gentle like the evening breeze after rain. Her life was simple. She gathered herbs, wove baskets, and cared for her old grandmother, Iyagba. Every morning, before the rooster crowed twice, Adunola would go to the river to fetch water and pluck green leaves of ewe amunuto, the healing herb. The river loved her. It seemed to sparkle more when she came, but the elders always warned. When the river flows, it flows for a reason. That season, the reason was danger. Fishermen whispered of voices in the mist. Canoes came drifting back without their owners. Even the birds no longer sang at dawn. One misty morning, Adunola knelt by the river, her calabash floating beside her. When she heard it, faint, desperate. "Please, you, help me." She froze. The river was wide, the current strong. Again, the cry came, weaker this time. Adunola's heart pounded. She looked left, right, no one, only the swaying reeds. Then she saw him, a man, half submerged, drifting towards the deep bend where the current turns merciless. His head bobbed once, twice, then began to sink. Adunola did not think twice. She dropped her basket and dove in. The cold water beat her skin, but she pushed forward, arms cutting through the current. The man's body was limp by the time she reached him. She hooked her arm under his and kicked hard, the way her late father had taught her when she was a child. The river fought her, pulling, twisting, but she fought harder. By the time they reached the shore, her breath was ragged. The man coughed, spitting water. His clothes were torn, and on his wrist red marks deep, as if bound by rope for many hours. His eyes fluttered open for a moment, dark, searching, then closed again. Adunola leaned closer. "Wake up, you are safe now," she whispered. But the safety did not last. From far away came the sound, the thud, thud, thud of horses' hoofs, loud, growing louder. She turned through the morning mist. Shapes appeared, men on horseback, armed with spears, scanning the river bank. Adunola's heart leaped. Whoever these men were, she could feel it in her bones. They were not coming to help. She grabbed the stranger's arm. "We must go now." Adunola dragged the stranger through the tall reeds, each step sinking into the soft mud of the river bank. His weight slowed her, but the pounding hoofs were too close for hesitation. The riders were calling out to each other now, harsh voices, not friendly. Her mind raced. There was only one place nearby where they would not think to look. Her late father's fishing hut. A small weather-beaten shack, hidden behind a curtain of palm fronds, standing where the river bends. The elders called it Ile Ikoko, the secret house, for it was built so cleverly that even the daylight strangers could pass it without noticing. "Hold on," she whispered, gripping him tighter. They slipped inside, and the smell of old nets and dried fish wrapped around them. Adunola lowered him onto the sleeping mat, her father's resting place before the river claimed him years ago. She quickly reached for her bundle of herbs, crushing away amunuto between her fingers until the healing scent filled the air. She bound his wrist with soft cloth, hiding the angry red marks. The sound of hoofs stopped. Silence. Then a voice deep and commanding. He could not have gone far. "Search the banks. Search the huts." Adunola paused, quickened. She reached for the wooden latch and pulled it shut, then crouched beside the stranger. His eyes were open now, filled with confusion and pain. "Shh," she mouthed, pressing a finger to her lips. They waited. Footsteps crunched outside. A shadow passed across the doorway. She could hear the creak of leather saddles, the faint jingle of metals, and then a long pause. Adunola held her breath. The shadow moved away. Voices faded. The riders left for now. The man coughed again, his voice hoarse but steady. Why? Why did you save me? Adunola looked at him for a long moment, then said quietly, Because the river spoke, and I listened. The morning sun began to pierce through the palm fronds, scattering golden light across the fishing hut. Adunola sat cross-legged beside the stranger, watching as he regained his strength, sip by sip, from a calabash of cool river water. For a long moment, he said nothing, only studied her with eyes that seemed older than his face. Finally, his voice broke the silence. My name is Adekunle, he said, his words slow and deliberate. And I am not who they think I am, but they will kill me all the same. Adunola tilted her head, waiting. In Yoruba land, you do not press a person for secret. You let the truth come like ripe fruit falling from its tree. Adenkule's gaze drifted to the doorway, as if the past stood just behind it. I was a palace guard, sworn to protect the Oba of Ilesa. 1 moon ago, during the festival of Ogun, I discovered a plot. Whispers in the night, strangers moving in the shadow of royal courtyard. He paused, his hands tightening into fists. They meant to kill the Oba and crown another. I followed their trail, but someone betrayed me before I could speak to the Oba. I was seized, accused of treason, and bound. Adunola's breath caught. By those men on horseback? She asked. Yes, they are not mere riders. They are Iru Ogun, war slaves of the usurper. They dragged me to the river last night. I was to be drowned before dawn. Silence settled between them, heavy and sharp. Outside, the river's current whispered against the bank. Adunola thought of her grandmother's words. The one you save will one day save you. But she also knew the truth. If the eyes have seen trouble, the eyes will see battle. Helping Adekunle meant stepping into a war she did not ask for. Yet, as she looked at him, bruised but unbroken, she knew the river had not brought him to her by accident. I will hide you, she said at last, but you must tell me everything, every name, every place, every danger that follows you. Adenkule's eyes softened with gratitude. Then you must also know they will come back, and when they do, they will burn this village to the ground if they think I am here. The sky was dark when Adunola rose. The air felt heavy, as if the night itself was holding its breath. She moved quickly, gathering dried fish, water in a gourd, and a small bundle of clothes. Adenkule, she whispered, touching his shoulders. He woke instantly, eyes sharp as if he had not truly slept at all. It's time, she said. They slipped out of the hut like shadows. The village lay silent. No dogs barking, no night watch staring. Adunola's sandals barely touched the ground as she led him towards the narrow track at the back of the settlement. Halfway there, a faint sound reached her ears. Hooves, slow, measured, getting closer. Adenkule's hands went to the short dagger at his side. They are here, he murmured. They broke into a run, weaving between palm trees until they reached the edge of the old forest path. The tree, they were tall and tangled, their roots curling over ancient stones. Locals avoided this path after sunset, whispering of spirits who guarded it. But tonight it was their only way out. As they stepped under the canopy, the sounds of pursuit faded, replaced by rustle of leaves and the distant gurgle of an unseen stream. A pale mist curled around their feet. Do you feel that? Adekule asked. Adunola nodded. The air was cooler, thicker. She thought she saw movement in the fog, tall, thin figures watching them between the trees. But when she blinked, they were gone. The path wound deeper, and just as the first blush of dawn touched the sky, they reached a clearing. In the center stood a massive tree, its trunk split as if by lightning, yet still alive. Adenkule slowed down, staring at it with something close to fear. This tree, I have seen it before in my dreams. Before Adunola could reply, the faint glow of torches appeared far behind them on the path. The riders had found their trail. Adunola's breath caught as she stared at the massive split tree. Its bark shimmered faintly in the glowing light. Adenkule, she said, her voice low. What do you mean you have seen it before? He didn't take his eyes off the tree. In my dreams since I was a boy, always this place, always this tree. But in the dream it speaks. Before she could ask more, a wind stirred through the clearing, though no leaves moved in the trees around them. The sound was strange, layered. It was as if voices, soft and overlapping, drifted through the air. Adunola shivered. You hear it too? Yes, Adenkule whispered. His face was pale. The voices grew clearer, curling around them like smoke. They spoke in old Yoruba words, even Adunola struggled to catch. Fragments about crowns, rivers, and blood bound to destiny. Then, just for a heartbeat, the mist before them parted, revealing faint shapes in the chalk, carved faces, withered by centuries. Some were serene, others solemn, and one looked so much like Adekule that Adunola stepped back. Is this why they are after you? She asked. He hesitated. I think it's because of what I am meant to be. The torches were closer now, their light flickering between the trees. Adunola reached for his arm. Then, whatever this tree is, we don't have time to find out. But just as they turned to leave, the trunk split, glowed brighter, and something small and wooden slid from its hollow, landing on Adekule's feet. It was a carved amulet, shaped like a river's curve. He picked it and the voices stopped. The forest fell silent. The carved amulet was warm in Adenkule's palm, as if it had been waiting for him. The smooth wood carried faint etchings, not decorative, but symbols, old and curling like river currents. Adunola glanced over her shoulders. Adenkule, we must move now. But he wasn't listening. His fingers traced the carvings, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to dim. In the darkness, a figure emerged, tall, its face hidden beneath a carved mask. The voice was deep and ancient. Riverborn child, the oath is yours to take. Adekule swallowed hard. Who are you? He asked. One who remembers what men have forgotten. Take the oath, and the river will rise for you. Break it, and it will drown you. Adunola reached for him. Adenkule, don't listen. Speak the words, the voice commanded. Almost without meaning, Adenkule whispered, by water and by breath, I will guard what flows until it returns to its source. The figure's head bowed, the amulet glowed, and suddenly they were back in the clearing, the forest bright with morning light. Adunola's voice shook. He turned to her, clutching the amulet. We have to go now. The oath. It binds me, and it's the only way we survive from those men. From the path came the sound of hoofs. The first rider burst into the clearing just as Adunola and Adekule dashed for the far path. His horse reared, startled by the sight of the splitted tree, giving them precious seconds to disappear into the tangle of roots and vines. Faster, Adunola gasped, dodging low-hanging branches. Behind them, hooves pounded against the forest floor, voices shouting orders, arrows hissed past, thudding into tree trunks. Adekule clutched the amulet tight as they ran. It pulsed in his hand, steady, like a heartbeat. He didn't know why, but instinct told him to hold it up. The air shifted. A sudden gust tore through the forest, whipping leaves and bending young trees sideways. A ribbon of mist spilled from the amulet's curve and streamed ahead of them. Whatever it touched, the forest floor turned sleek as river mud. The first pursuing horse fell, and each rider thrown into the bush. Another man stumbled, crashing sideways into a thorn bush. Adunola glanced at the amulet, eyes wide. "You are doing that?" "I think so," Adekule said, breathless. "It's the oath." The river listened. They broke through a stand of palms and found themselves at the edge of the forest. The riders were regrouping behind them. Adekule held the amulet high again. This time, the mist poured downwards. The river, rising in seconds, the water foamed, filled the air with roar of river in flood. Adunola stared. "How?" "No time," he shouted. "We must jump now." They jumped together as the water surged, the amulet flashing across the sunlight like a blade. The icy water swallowed them whole. Adunola's scream dissolved into bubbles as the current yanked her downstream. Adekule surfaced first, gasping, the amulet still clenched in his fist. "Adunola," he shouted, spinning in the current. He caught sight of her a few feet away and fought the water to reach her. Water smashed into their backs, shoving them sideways into whirlpools and releasing them at the last possible moment. It felt deliberate. Adunola coughed and clung to Adekule's arm. "It's trying to kill us." He shook his head, spitting water. "No, it's keeping us from them." Over the roar, they could faintly hear the shouts of riders on the cliff's edge, but the sound was fading fast. The amulet's glow pulsed in his hand. After what felt like forever, the river slowed just enough for them to paddle towards a low bank overgrown with weeds. They collapsed there, drenched and shivering. Adunola lay on her back, chest heaving. "If that's the river helping us, then I would hate to see it angry." Adekule didn't answer right away. He was staring at the amulet, the carvings in the curve shifting softly like water changing course. "It's not done with us," he said quietly, "and I think it's leading us somewhere." They followed the river bank for hours, moving through a part of the forest that felt untouched. The air was thick with the scent of wet earth, and the only sounds were the drip of water from leaves and singing birds. Then, without warning, the trees parted, and there it was, a village, a small thriving village. Smoke curled from thatched roof. Children's laughter carried over the wind, and the smell of roasted yam drifted towards them. Adunola stopped in her tracks. This isn't on any trader's route." Adekule frowned. "It shouldn't have been here. This part of the forest, I thought it was just a swamp." A group of villagers noticed them and approached. Their clothes were woven from river reeds, dyed deep blues and greens, and their eyes were sharp in assessing them. At the front was an elderly woman with skin the color of polished ebony and hair white as river foam. Her gaze fell on the amulet in Adekule's hand, and her expression shifted from suspicious to something like awe. "Omo mi," she whispered, "child of the river. You have returned." Adekule blinked. "Returned? I have never been here before." The old woman smiled faintly, but there was no humor in it. "The river does not bring what it has not cleaned. Come, you both have much to learn, and little time." In the dim interior, shelves lined the walls, not with pots or baskets, but with carvings, masks, and bundles of dry herbs. The woman gestured for them to sit on a low stool near a fire pit. "I am Iya Arinola," she said, "keeper of the river's story, and the last to remember the oath in its fullness." Her eyes fixed on Adekule. "That amulet you carry is no trinket. It is Oriomi, the head of the river's will. It answers only to the one it has chosen." Adekule hesitated. "I didn't choose it. It found me." "No," Iya Arinola cut in gently. "It found you." She began to tell a tale. Generations ago, a man from Adekule's bloodline struck a bargain with the river spirit to save his people from drought. In exchange, one child in every 7 generations would serve the river until its will was fulfilled. That child would be marked, not with scars or tattoos, but by the amulet itself seeking them out. Adunola shivered, and if the chosen one refuses, the old woman's gaze darkened. The river is patient, but is not merciful. She leaned closer, her whisper sharp as a blade. The old time has come again, and the river is already watching you both. A sudden hiss came from the fire pit. Flames flickered blue, casting light across the wall. Adekule thought he saw shapes moving in the fire. Iya Arinola straightened. You will stay here tonight. Tomorrow, I will show you your first path you must walk, and the first danger you must face. Sleep did not come easily. Adunola lay on the raffia mat, staring at the dim glow of the fire. Iya Arinola's heart was warm, but her mind replayed the old woman's words over and over. The river is already watching you both. Somewhere deep in the night, a sound pulled her from half-dream. It wasn't footsteps. It was the soft rush of water. She glanced over. Adekule's mat was empty. Panic rose in her chest as she stepped outside. But there at the far end was a shimmer of water where there should only be grass. She followed it, her bare feet silent. The shimmer led her to the river bank, and there was Adekule, standing ankle deep in the current. A figure stood before him, half hidden by mist. She was tall, her skin the color of deep water at night, her hair streaming like liquid silver down her back. Her eyes glowed blue, and her voice, when it came, sounded like 1,000 streams speaking at once. Omomi, will you walk willingly, or must the river take you? Adekule didn't answer. His hands tightened on the amulet. The spirit gaze flickered to Adunola, and for an instant, the water beneath her feet seemed to reach up. And you, why do you follow what is not yours? Before Adunola could speak, Adekule stepped forward. She's with me, always. The spirit's eyes narrowed. The river surged around your ankles. Then both of you will first the crossing together. But know this, the river gives and the river takes. What it gives you, it will take from another. She vanished into the river, leaving Adekule and Adunola stunned. I think our first trial had already begun. Dawn came, and the air smelled of wet earth and grasses. Iya Arinola sat cross-legged outside her hut, grinding herbs with slow, deliberate movement. She didn't look up when Adunola and Adekule approached. The river has spoken to you, she said simply. Adekule nodded. She told us we must face the crossing together. The old woman's hands paused on the grinding stone. Then there's no time to waste. The first trial lies upriver, where the water curls like a serpent. Iya gave a humorless smile, because the staff is guarded by the Ajija, the whirlwind guardian. It tests all who seek the river's path. Most do not return. She handed Adekule a small calabash, sealed with wax. When the Ajija appear, break this on the ground. It will give you one moment, only one, to act before the guardian strikes. The next day, they set out before the sun had fully risen. The air grew thicker, the sound of rushing grew louder until they emerged at a bend where the river churned violently. In the center of the whirlpool was the staff, carved from a pale wood and glowed faintly even in daylight. It's beautiful, Adekule exhaled. A sudden gust of wind answered him. The whirlpool surged, and from its heart rose the Ajija, a towering figure made of wind and spray, its form shifting between man and storm. Its voice was the roar of the river itself. Who dare claim the staff of the unknown? Adunola's finger closed around the calabash. Her heart pounded. One moment, that's all they have. The Ajija towered above them. Its swirling form sprayed water at their faces. To take the staff, the guardian thundered, you must answer the river's riddle, and prove the answer with your hands. The whirlpool spun faster, revealing strange shapes in the water. A fish with wings, a tree whose roots were on fire, a serpent biting its own tail, Adekule shouted over the storm. "We don't have time for this. Time is all you have," the Ajija bellowed. "Lose it and the river will take you." What feeds without eating? What drinks without thirst? What grows yet it's never born? Adunola's mind raced. Her father had told her riddles like this when she was a child. She closed her eyes, blocking out the fear. Feeds without eating, drinks without thirst, grows but never born. The answer was on her tongue, but she couldn't bring herself to say it for fear of it being the wrong answer. The Ajija was impatient and was getting angrier by the minute. What do you think the answer should be? I would like to hear from you all in the comment section. Thank you for watching and I hope you enjoyed this one. Please don't forget to like, comment and share. See you in our next one. Bye.